Hello everyone. Today I will talk about a command line tool called gita to manage multiple Git repos. I wrote this tool a few years ago when I first joined industry. At that time, I was really sick of changing directories back and forth for different repos. And there are other problems like, oh, these repos are not on the same branch or release. Or maybe I added a new file but forget to add that to the repo. So I wrote this tool to help out. And there are essentially two features. One is to display the information of different repos side by side. And the other one is to delegate git command or even shell command from any working directories. For example, if I say git fetch, then it will fetch all the repos. Or if I say git pull that repo, then it will pull that repo even though I'm at this repo. This project was well received on GitHub and it received about 1,000 stars now. Okay, so while we are here, let me show you some examples. So you can see if I type gita ll, it will show the information. The first column is the repo names. The second column is the repo branch names. And the color tells you the relative relationship between local and remote, whether they are in sync, one is newer than the other, they are diverged, or maybe there's no remote. You can see the meaning in the README, or you can also reset the meaning to whatever color you want. The next column is the change status, the edit status. If you used the git shell auto-completion, you would know star means there is unstaged changes. If there's a plus, it means there are staged changes. And I also defined the underscore, which means there are files that are not committed to the repo. Okay, then the next column is the commit message. I also print out the time when that commit was made. Okay, now the next example, you can see here we are at the home directory. But for whatever reason, we want to know the remote URL of some repo, then we can just say gita remote that repo, and then it will print the URL. Okay, let's see some real examples in action. So here I have 3 Git repos and directory. I will talk about the directory later. So now let's focus on the 3 repos. Now let's see, we have no repos currently. We can add those repos when to get into the gita. Now it says 3 repos added. And now if we do ll, it will show you the information I just showed you. And we can do things like pull. Then it will pull all of them, but obviously that's nothing new. Also, I can do say fetch dot files, and there's nothing to fetch. Okay, I mean there are many other commands. Say st means status. You can check what command are there from either the help or from the README. You can also define your own custom commands. Okay, the next concept I want to talk about is the group concept. So oftentimes when you do a project, there will be different repos related to the same project. Then you can add them into a group. Then you can do actions on this group only. For example, we can add a group called dev. Say the gita repo is there and also the test repo is there. Okay, now we can see what groups we have. So we have a dev repo with 2 repos, dev group with 2 repos. just as an example, we can add another group. Let's say group 2, which is the say test repo, and also the .files repo. Okay, now you can see we have 2 groups. So if you just display, if you add the group name there, then it will only act on that group, and you will only see repos of that group. Or the action of the commands will only act on that repo too. Or say pull group 2, then it only acts on that group. So this is somewhat useful. But oftentimes, say on a particular day, you only want to work on one project. Then it's a little bit silly to type that project name or the group name all the time. So there's a concept of context. So you can set the context. Say you just set the group as a context. Now, after you set the context, you can just say ll. Then it automatically limits the choice to that group. Okay. Oh, so if you want to remove the context, you can say context none. Then it just remove the context. Okay, the next concept I want to introduce is the so sometimes your project might already be in a somewhat organized form. Say, let me see. See, this project X is a folder containing different repos. So here there are 5 repos there. So you already organize them in some way. It will be so obviously you want to group them in some way too, but it will be a bit of manual work to do that. So there is a shortcut called autogroup where you add it. So you can say git add -a for autogroup project. Now you can see it find 5 repos and it automatically creates 3 new groups for you. And the 3 new groups would be the overall group project X, backend, and front end. Let me show you. See, if the project group contains all of them, then it has a front end group, also a back end group. And you can do the same context trick to limit yourself to a certain scale. But there's another nice trick. So the context has another keyword called auto. This means it will limit the scope according to where you are. For example, suppose you're at this folder. It will limit the scope to the project X. And if you go into the front end, then it will limit the scope to the front end. Yeah, so you don't need to manually change the context. Also, let me show you. If you get rid of that, you will see all the repos. Okay. So that's about the context and auto group. Okay, then the next thing is if you use the built-in command, the command is limited. Basically, you can only have one word. The built-in command will be like gita and one single action word, then the repo name or group name. But sometimes we will have git command that's multiple words. In that case, we can do gita super. If you use this, then you can use any arbitrary git command. For example, say we want to act on the test repo. We want to act on the test repo, and we want to check out different branch. Okay, now you can see test repo. You can see the test repo changes to a different branch. Okay, so you can also run shell command as well. Say repo-5, let's say .files. Let's say we just do ls. It will show you. You can basically run any shell command as well. Okay, there are actually more functions of this tool, but I think I already covered the most useful ones. Here is a short review. If you're interested in more commands, then you can check the README. Another thing, a quick thing I can show you is the color. You can see it tells you the meaning of different colors, and you can do set to set your own colors. Okay, that's all I want to talk about today. Hope this one is useful for you. Thanks.